Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spring Fever with me, XFL, XLeague, USFL, CFL, FCFL, ELF Jim, joined by my man Eric, Uncle Rico at eTop21, my man. Ready to talk some spring football?
Dude, I am ready to talk some football, my friend.
So we're going to be talking USFL recap. We're talking CFL news. We're talking XFL a little bit. And then we've got a special surprise for everybody. Little interview talking a lot of XLeague with one BJ, XLeague legend, I would say.
I mean, BJ, he's been there for 10. I mean, like
11
4-time all league. Four-peat champion over there.
Yes, four-peat champion, and they won 2 years ago as well. For those who don't know, defensive end linebacker for the Obix Seagulls over in the X League. Great guy. It was a great interview. Can't wait.
I'm not going to lie. We dove into the toughest guy to go against. We talked about post-game meal, sushi versus pizza. I've never heard of honey on pizza. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was probably one of the best football interviews you're going to see.
It was awesome. But starting off, we have USFL to talk about, the recap of Week 6, which, honestly, from Week 5 and Week 6, the weeks have just been getting better and better.
Oh, yeah. Offenses, they're
really coming into their own. And speaking of which, before any of that, there's breaking. I don't know if you saw this. Shea Patterson let go from the Michigan Panthers.
So let me get this straight. Another Michigan football team messing up the top pick.
Correct.
The top pick?
Correct. It looks like it's going to be Josh Love. For those of you who remember Josh Love, he was the starter for the Maulers in weeks 1 through 3. He was all right. He was pretty good, but you can never really tell with the Maulers. So now he's probably he's the preemptive starter for the Michigan Panthers. Shea Patterson now is on the New Orleans Breakers.
So do you think, does that mean, because Kelly didn't look that good last week. Let's be honest. Kelly, he did not look that solid next week. We talked about it last week. Do you think they rest Kelly, let Patterson get some run this week?
Honestly, I think they do. I think they let the boy, they let him rest, give him some rest. I mean, they are playing the Panthers. So honestly, let Shea Patterson start in a revenge game.
Because I mean, it was a funky game last week for the Panthers against the Stallions. I mean,
so we'll get into that one in a second, but we're going to go in order here. I just wanted to say that because Shea Patterson let go from the Panthers and Kyle Laletta let go from the Maulers.
Sorry, I was a little premature. That usually doesn't happen, guys.
Oh, you're good. It happens to me all the time. So we're starting off. We have the Bandits versus the Stars, with the Stars winning 35-28. This was a really good game. And surprisingly, the Stars had a run game, which they just kind of hadn't had all year until this game. My opinion right now is the Bandits are the benchmark team. Their only wins have come against the Panthers, the Gamblers, and the Maulers. So they are the team that, like, if you can beat them, you're good. If you lose to them, you're bad. The Bandits are that team.
You look at this game, though. The Bandits controlled time of possession. They almost outgained the Stars by 200 yards.
The Stars' offense is so bad. The Stars' defense is bad.
But I mean, I guess my point is the Stars, they need a little bit more. They only had 66 yards passing. Now, granted, I know they're doing great running the football and everything, but you do need to be able to convert and be able to throw the ball, at least to keep the defense honest.
Yeah, and usually it's the opposite. Usually, like, Case Cookis has been, like, throwing. This was a very weird game for the Stars because generally they're, like, great through the air and they're, like, going to do that, like, 9 times out of 10. This was weird. I think more than anything, the Stars they came in clutch. Like, their defense wasn't great, but it was great when they had to be.
3 turnovers, though.
Exactly.
3 turnovers, and that's the key. In a 7-point game,
yep,
that's the key. I mean, you can't, especially against, we can say, like, what, 7th best D, 6th best D in the league?
In the Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bottom 2, in my opinion, yeah.
So you can't have 3 turnovers against those guys.
You really can't. Especially like Tampa came into this game with like the best turnover margin in the league. Just I don't know. The Stars just made it happen. I'm just of the mind the Stars are just going to have to keep winning shootouts. They need their defense. They don't even need their defense to be good. They do just need to be like a turnover generating machine in order to stay in these games.
Do you think though that they can win long term doing that though?
If their offensive production is like weeks 4 and 5 versus this week, then yes, I think they can win consistently. I think they just have to win. I just think they're going to have to win shootouts. I don't think their defense needs to be good. They just need to be good enough to get certain stops here and there. I think offensively they can compete with most teams. Like week 1, they were right there. I mean, they had Brian Scott weeks 1 and 2, and it's a different team with Case Cookus. But I think offensively they can compete. That defense is going to let them down, though.
Yeah, that defense is, how can I say it's politely, shit.
It's shit. And then the Bandits just don't have a run game. They just don't. And for this kind of league, you need one.
But I mean, they did put it, but it's against the Stars. I mean, they did put up 106. You're right. You have to be able to run the ball. But it's just, how can I say this? Todd Haley came into this league, and you and I talked about it, that I thought he was just going to roll. But I mean, he's not setting himself up to get back in the NFL with this.
Well, there's some NFL Todd Haley tendencies that I'm seeing where he's the quickest coach, in my opinion, to abandon the run. Like he'll start off with some runs and then just like scrape it.
Yeah.
You saw it in week 5. This week it was a little bit easier, but you kind of have to address the run against the Stars because they're the worst run defense in the entire league. Like if you're not running against the Philadelphia Stars, you're not a good coach.
I agree with you completely. You got to be able to run on the rock against them.
Also, I'm pretty sure like 4 for 4 on Stars over. I'm just going to flat out say I'm done betting unders in the USFL.
Well, I mean, like you're going to be on my show this week and we'll talk about betting, but
we'll talk about it.
There's some high totals.
I don't care. I don't care, Eric. They readjust them back down. They've gone like 6 games and like the last 6 in a row have been over.
I mean, what is that? 63 points. The over under was what? 39?
Yeah.
40?
It was 40. This was the highest. This was the highest total of the weekend.
Yeah, there's like
40.
42s this week. But you're right. Their defense can't stop anything. And let's face it, if they didn't have those 3 turnovers,
it would have been a blowout.
The Bandits are winning that. Bandits are putting up 21 more. It's what?
These teams are like neck and neck, in my opinion. They're both like right there in the middle of the pack. There's like, you have your top 3, these 2, and your bottom 3.
Yeah,
that's how I view it.
Okay, what's your top team right now?
Top team obviously is it's the Stallions, Generals, Breakers.
Yeah.
Then you have the Stars and the Bandits, and then you have the Panthers, Gamblers, and Maulers.
Well, I mean, I think we agree on the top 5. Let's hear your bottom 3. Who's coming in at 6?
6 right now. This is like a slot machine rotation because of how close the game was. It's the Gamblers.
I mean, you had 3 games in a row now they've lost in the last possession.
So I saw a statistic for the Gamblers, and we'll get into this more when we talk about their game. 6 games have been played so far in the USFL. 6 first half leads for the Gamblers. 1-5 record.
God, you know what?
Kevin Sumlin's so bad.
I mean, here's the thing, though. That's the thing. Like, some coaches just win. Sumlin doesn't know how to win. You know what I mean? Like,
he doesn't.
He's just. Yeah, I have the Gamblers at 6. Who you got at 7?
The Panthers.
That's where we have a disagreement. I went with the Maulers.
That's fair. You could fit any team in there, and you could probably justify it. Speaking of which, though, the Panthers and the Stallions. That's our next game up, with the Stallions winning 33-17. This was a weird game. It was like very competitive for the first half.
Yep.
And then the Stallions just ran away with it. And by the fourth quarter, they were resting JMR Smith and had it fucking Magoo in there.
I mean, it was the strangest game in the world. Like I had, watching it, very competitive. And then, like, you're right. In the second half, the resting starters. And it was weird because I believe the Panthers, they actually controlled the time of possession.
This was a neck and neck game until the fourth quarter. So like going into the fourth quarter, it was 19 to 17.
But again, it gets back to being sloppy with the football. Patterson had an INT. There's that bad fumble.
Yep.
But again, we're hyping up this Panthers defense. Excuse me. They gave up 175 yards on the ground for 5.5 yards an attempt. And you and I talked about it. You have to be able to stop the run in this league.
Yep.
And teams that are running are doing good. And the Stallions, you said it. They're moving the ball. They're doing everything. But is at the home is them?
There's something magical. There is something magical about them being in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. And JMR Smith is like a dude.
He's legit. Do you think? Where do you think he is next year?
He's probably still with the USFL.
You really don't think he's gonna?
He might be on like a practice squad. I could see it.
Well, so let's do real quick.
Okay, you know what? I could see him on a practice squad somewhere. I bet someone takes a chance.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'd rather have him than Sam Darnold. I'll freaking say it.
I'd rather have most people than Sam Darnold.
I'd rather have my neighbor who's outside smoking a cigarette, drinking a bottle of Chardonnay. I'd rather have her back there than Sam Darnold.
You know what? Early September, Sam Darnold of last year was good. When he was the NFL's rushing touchdown leader.
The NFL. God.
I could see JMR. I could see JMR on a team. He's got that locker room guy energy.
Some guys just have it. Some guys you can just look at and you're like, boy's got it. And
that's JMR.
He's got it. And you're right. We don't know what's going to happen when they go to Canton. Are they going to be able to play and not get the little perks that come playing in front of a home crowd? I don't know. But for right now, like you said, it's a magical carpet ride. Let's see what happens. One of my notes is, who is the real Shane Patterson? I guess we'll never know because he's gone.
Well, maybe we'll see him next week on the Breakers.
Maybe. But I mean,
then we'll actually get the question. We'll get the answer to the question: was it Shea Patterson or Jeff Fisher?
Dude, what happens if Shea Patterson comes into the Breakers
and just balls out?
Just balls out and just leads them to the title.
Do we have like a quarterback controversy in New Orleans with him and Slaughter?
Oh my God.
Oh, speaking of which, next game up on the docket, Maulers versus the Breakers, with the Breakers winning 26-16. This game was sloppy as fuck.
I'll tell you what. I had a little bit of food poison this game. I won't go into much detail, but I did not properly watch this game. Sorry if that was.
No, you're good. You're good. I couldn't watch. I couldn't watch the next game, but I'll explain why in a second.
So this is my thing with the Maulers. Are they going to win again?
Do they play the Gamblers or the Panthers again?
I do not know.
You know what? Watch next week. So they play the Stallions this coming week. Watch them beat the Stallions and be like the only team to beat the Stallions.
That would be phenomenal. I was a little ill this game, but you're right. We've mentioned a couple times. Both of us do like this Breakers team, but
they're injured.
They need to get right, especially Kelly. Kelly needs to get right. Without him underneath center doing everything he can do, this offense is kind of limited.
Are you saying Kelly?
Yeah.
It's Kyle.
Did I call him Kyle? Did I call him Kelly? Dude, I'm sorry. Dude.
You're good. Sorry, I was wondering. No, you're good. Yeah, it's Kyle. Yeah. But yeah, he's had this groin injury since week 2.
Why did I call him Kelly? I don't know.
Sorry, we're already in CFL mood, and Swag Kelly's on the Toronto team.
That's my fault. No, but
maybe with Shea Patterson coming in, though, he gets a nice little rest time.
He could. But the one thing I've noticed about this, how can I say this? The one thing I've noticed is the good teams, the Generals, the Stallions, the Breakers. they just aren't sloppy with the ball. It does doing the little things. They don't really, they don't fumble. Quarterbacks don't force passes. They don't make silly mistakes. And I get it, and you get it. There's going to be times like in a football game when you put like people on the stadium with an odd shaped ball, there's going to be a bad bounce, and those happen. But what I'm talking about is like the forced throw into double coverage. Not properly protecting the ball. Those are coaching mistakes, and you're seeing like these top teams not make those mistakes. You're seeing the shittier teams make those mistakes in my eyes.
Yeah, it's like ball security. It's this I can make any pass mentality. It's the never throwing it away. Sloter has that to an extent where he feels like he can make any play. I think the fact that he has been injured and that's been hampering him a little bit, that's helped him actually kind of realize when he needs to throw it away or like not force something. And the Maulers are just, they continue to be really bad. They're just bad. They're bland play calling, an all right defense. They have the terrible thing is they have really talented players at like skilled positions. And maybe with this quarterback they have, they can like take advantage of it. But whatever the opposite of trust is, that's what I have in Kirby Wilson's play calling.
You have to take the training wheels off, though. You know what I mean?
Well, you can take them off. Kirby Wilson's play calling is the worst thing ever.
Oh, no doubt.
It's the worst.
No doubt.
It's the worst. Last game of the week, we had the Houston Gamblers taking on the New Jersey Generals in a fucking barn burner, 25-26. But this game was intense.
This game to me,
it was also really weird.
Exactly the weirdest game ever, because the Gamblers only had the ball one time in the second half.
Absolutely insane.
I mean, in all your history of watching football, do you ever recall that happening?
No, I've never seen that happen before. Also, I couldn't watch this game live because my entire town, was without power from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Oh my God, dude.
Sorry, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we had 5 hours of no power.
I'm letting you know 2 weeks ago I lost power for 5 minutes and I was going crazy.
We just went to the next town over and went to the bars and went to like Red Lobster. It was awesome. Because this was scheduled, so they let everyone know it was happening. So it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go to Red Lobster and just like chill for hours.
I met Bobby Brown in a Red Lobster once.
Nice.
So that's a tale for a different story. But looking at this, time of possession 40-19.
It was insane. It doesn't help that DeAndre Johnson seemingly got like banged up a little bit. He got pulled for part of this game.
Moving forward, what does that do for the Generals in your eyes?
With DeAndre Johnson like hurt?
Yeah, like he's hurt.
So they have Luis Perez still. I still think like with more time he can be good. He makes some mistakes, but I still think he can be good. And they grabbed Kyle Laletta from the Maulers. So they still have they have 3 quarterbacks on roster now.
Mm-hmm.
So they could still, Mike Riley could still do his like swapping and swapping and whatnot. I think give DeAndre some time. If the Generals win this week, they're locked into the playoffs. So maybe go all out this week and then maybe sit your starters.
Okay.
I don't know. They've only lost 1 game, so it's not like you get home field advantage.
Yeah, you're going to be up in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah. So this week, if the Stallions and the Generals win, they're both locked in for the playoffs.
Okay. Now, okay.
I also appreciated that this game ended on a quarterback sneak, time run out quarterback sneak, Bush push scenario. That was awesome.
That was pretty badass. And I'm not going to lie. I feel bad for Sumlin. Like Todd Haley, I'm really not that big of a Todd Haley guy, but I feel bad for Sumlin just because you're like, dude, you're just slowly going down the totem pole.
I feel bad for Sumlin because as a Nebraska fan of the last year, I understand how much it hurts to have these third and fourth quarter collapses and just lose, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's brutal. It's got to be brutal as a player. It's got to be brutal as a coach. The Gamblers, the Houston Gamblers, are the number 1 team point differential in the first half and the number 8 team in the second half. They are so bad in the second halves and so good in the first halves. I just don't get it.
Yeah. But that comes down to coaching adjustments. He's just not doing anything.
It's all coaching adjustments, but I don't understand how he could go from that good to that bad. It's an anomaly to me.
Yeah.
How bad they are in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. It's just someone's just not the guy, man. Maybe he just needs to go back to just be an OC or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I think so.
You know, maybe he just needs to go back, be an OC somewhere and just kind of build there. But yeah, he's just not it.
I'll wait. We'll definitely break down the gambling for week 7 coming up, but just a quick little preview. I just want your opinion on these games. So we have the Generals versus the Bandits. This is for a playoff spot for the Generals. We have the Breakers versus the Panthers. Potential revenge game for Shea Patterson. Stallions versus the Maulers. So I'm already counting the Stallions as a lock for the playoffs because they're winning that game. And then the Stars versus the Gamblers.
I mean, I'm looking at right now. I needed to go know what's going on with the Generals quarterback position.
I would assume Luis Perez starts is if DeAndre's still injured. The one thing that I will always bug the USFL for is they're so bad at getting these injury reports out on in a timely manner of who's playing and who's not.
So my thing is I think that if Perez is starting, I think the Generals win, but it's close.
I think so too. I think it's closer than a lot of people would anticipate. The Breakers, if they start Shea Patterson against the Panthers, I could see him winning, but it might. I don't know, man.
Baby hands Patterson.
Baby hands Patterson and revenge game though.
Don't
discount the Shea Patterson revenge factor.
Shea Patterson revenge. I mean, but this is the thing though, you got to take the Breakers here. You have to. I mean, even if you get whoever's at quarterback, even if it's Shea
probably Patterson, Josh Love.
I know, but what I'm saying is how much is Love really going to be?
Yeah, I have
familiar game time.
Exactly. It's been less than it hasn't even been a week.
You know what I mean? What is he going to be able to do? I'll say it. I'll take the break. The Breakers there.
Yeah. And then Stallions versus the Maulers, I feel like that's the lock of the century. That's the easiest.
Give me the Maulers, dude. Shocking.
Oh, yeah?
But dude, here's the thing. The Stallions aren't going to go undefeated. They're going to lose a game.
They very well might.
They're going to lose a game. And
they could go undefeated.
It's going to be the game we least expect. And I'm calling it right now.
I'm going to call it week 9 versus the Gamblers.
That could be it too. But you know what? I'm feeling spicy. Give me the Maulers. I'm calling the upset. Give me the Maulers.
Okay. That if you get this right, that is insane. And I love it. And then we have the Stars versus the Gamblers, which could be an interesting game, but I would I gotta think the Stars win it. But the USFL is so wild, you never know. Anything can happen.
Stars defense is just so effing bad though.
Either way you splice it though, give me the over in this game.
I'm going to say this. What's going to happen is the Gamblers are going to be in position to a win. They're going to be up 5. There's going to be a bad exchange. The Stars defense will get the fumble, return it all the way down to the 5-yard line, 2 seconds left, and the Stars will throw a game-winning touchdown pass.
I'm going to say the Stars win it by a touchdown in overtime. This is our first USFL overtime right here.
Oh, so you're calling it right now?
OT on the cock.
Dude, and I'm looking at
Peacock.
It. This is on the Peacock?
Yeah.
Jesus, dude, the over-under is 43 and a half.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know what? Give me the over. I'm just going to – no.
43 and a – dude, I know that the lowest under is 41.
What's the highest over under?
43 and a half with the Stars Gamblers.
Literally only one game last week wouldn't have gotten that.
Really?
And that was the Maulers Breakers, which went to 42.
God.
These games are just going over.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet every over. I don't give a fuck. I'm done. I've been hitting that best 50% on the over-unders. I'm done.
Dude, I'm going to upstate the spreadsheet, dude. Uncle Rico's been doing pretty good this year. And
last week was brutal for me. Last week I was
Really?
so close. Well, in certain things, like I was on the Generals. The Breakers was a nice get, but I was on the Panthers. I think, if I remember right.
I mean, I didn't do a side. I
think I went 2-2.
I had the over in the Stars game. I had the Panthers. I lost the Panthers.
Yep.
I didn't do anything in the Maulers Breakers game. But I had the Gamblers plus the 6.5, and I had the over there.
That was good. That was a real good one.
Yeah, that's why they call me Uncle Rico, my friend.
And we are here with BJ Beatty. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, my man. XLeague. I'm going to call you an XLeague legend. I'm just going to go out and flat out say it. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I mean, it's 10:30 here in Japan. I'm actually finished 2 workouts. I did a lift and a field workout, and it's still only 10:30 in the morning. Ready to talk it over with football with you guys over here, and
okay,
just excited.
So how does I ask this about just about every player? What does your daily routine kind of consist of? When just like a normal day, in season, out of season, either way, just what does your normal routine consist of?
So the X League itself isn't really a professional league, right? So we actually only practice on weekends. So I only practice on Saturday and Sundays. Okay. Mondays, depending on, for the most part, I have 3 kids. My oldest is going to elementary school right now. So in the mornings, I actually like to take her to school because I have the freedom to do that. I'll walk her to school, and then right after that, I'll book it to our facilities, get my training in, and I'll be back before she's done with school, pick her up, and then kind of come home, be dad for a little bit, get my film study on, study my opponents, study myself, see what I need to work on. And that's kind of pretty much my daily life.
Now, you said you like to it's 10:30 in the morning. You've already got 2 workouts in. What time are you waking up in the morning, my man?
If I can, 5:30. If my son wakes up, 5 o'clock. So a lot of it is depending on him. If he wants to wake up at 5, I have no choice. If I can get to about 5:30, which is when my alarm will go off, I try and get to 5:30. But that, like I said, it's all dependent on my boy.
Are you a big snooze guy on the alarm, or do you
actually
just bolt up?
So it's funny you asked that, because me and one of my teammates, we just had this conversation. I don't know if you want to call it like PTSD or something, but in college, right? Like I've waken up across campus about 7-8 minutes before a workout starts. And I've made it across campus, be fully dressed on the line in that 7 minutes. So I think it's either that or, you're doing some kind of crazy punishment, right? I'd rather sprint that 7 minutes than, whatever my coaches could come up with. I think it's a little bit more of, I like to just get up and go because, my kids kind of wake up and it's like, there is no, time to, it's like, especially my son, he's only 1. I mean, he wakes up and he's 100 miles an hour. So I have to be the same way. So I have to wake up and it's like, all right, cool, we got to go. Like, there's no time to lollygag.
Now, tell us about the practice facility there. How does that compare to what you had at Colorado?
Obviously, college football, you have millions and millions of dollars coming into these facilities. But I think, my background, I come from a very small town on the island of Oahu. And growing up, I didn't have much. I didn't have these big facilities and things like that. You know, there's a little weight room, you know, and we may do it what we have. And I mean, you know, we have a actually pretty nice weight room. We have 2 platforms to do, you know, power cleans, hang cleans, any kind of heavy lifting, 2 power racks, a couple benches. I mean, we have a lot of, it's a pretty solid weight room. I mean, you're not going to get that massive weight room facilities like you are back in the States, but it's enough to where if you know what you're doing and you have a plan, you can completely get a workout in and keep yourself at top level.
Speaking of weight rooms and everything, this is another question I ask every player I interview. How much you benching right now?
See, actually, I'm not a big bench guy.
You are not the first person that has told me that.
I'm so like, you know, I can't really like my power. Like I take, and this is actually where I take pride in my power output. I could give you maybe 385 out for 1 rep, maybe. But if you ask me to like squat, if you ask me to power clean, deadlift, I'm going easily over 550 pounds, 600 pounds easily.
You got those Spartan legs.
Yeah, if you ask me to go jump in the squat rack, I'll stand toe to toe with anybody all day, you know, and that's kind of where I take my pride in.
Now, when you came over there and they're doing the defensive alignments, the pre-snap stuff, how long did that take you to understand the Japanese language? Or like the pre-snap stuff, how much is done and how long did that take you to get all that lingo down? Or was there a language barrier, or did they like change it to English? Like, how does all that stuff work when you first came over?
So I was very lucky. I had, and you know, Jim, you called me the XLeague legend. Like the guy I came in to play with is the OG legend.
Okay.
Kevin Jackson. He played till he was 37, and that's so impressive. He played D end, and when I came in, he was a big help because a lot of our playbook, as far as you read it, it's in English.
Okay.
But the pronunciations would be a little different. So, funniest one was we had a blitz called Buckus, right? And so the way the Japanese would say it was Buckus. But if you spelt it or if you saw how it was written, it looks like Bucks, Bucs. Okay. So when the play call would come in, I'd be like, I'd have to look at KJ and be like, and you know, because I'm reading it one way, and I've come to learn that, like, you know, that's how they would read it. You know, like they would read it one way, I would read it another way. I would say everything took me a couple months to learn. Luckily, football, you know, and X's and O's is the same in any language. Yeah. Luckily, you know, so it was, for the most part, it was just kind of learning how things were being pronounced and things like that. Yeah, it didn't take me too long. Communication-wise, that took me, I want to say about at least being able to express myself through Japanese. That took me about 2 to 3 years to be able to like sit down and fully like conversate. Yeah. But early on I had KJ, so you know, it was kind of like I used him as the middleman, but he was such a big help.
So like at halftime when you guys are doing adjustments, the coach would be on the board and then he would just be translating it to you? Anything
major, he'd let me know. But for the most part, you know, I kind of pride myself in being a high IQ guy. Like the coach would draw stuff and I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I kind of know what he was
you kind of infer.
Yeah, like the X's and O's, I was like, oh, okay, that's what you need. All right, I got you. Like, and you know, I actually wouldn't know what he was saying specifically, but I knew what he was on based on how he drew things up.
So, in line with the whole language aspect of it, what do you guys do for like team building and bonding and things like that to kind of integrate like the American players and the Japanese players and all the international players like coming together?
This is actually pretty funny. The way we do team bonding, and not just us, but throughout Japanese, drinking.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. You guys need me to join the team bonding? I'm there, man.
Oh, we got you. I mean, so this is one thing like I've loved about Japan. I know without 100% of a doubt, I can go out. We can be out till, we can be slosh drunk, and there's gonna be no fighting. There's gonna be nothing. Like, it's just people get more and more goofy.
Yeah.
And then, like, the language barriers disappear, and it's like, I don't understand what these guys are saying. They don't understand what I'm saying. All we know is there's a couple of beers and we're going at it and just, hey, and yeah, I mean, that's a big way that not even just athletes, but just companies. I mean, people. I mean, it's the culture is just so, that's where you bond at the izakaya, we call it, right? Just the little hub, pub, whatever you want to call it, having a grand old time.
Out of every, I have to hit what was the biggest hit you gave someone over there?
Biggest hit,
yeah.
I love that question.
Would have probably had been my rookie year.
Okay.
I want to say it's tied between two. So it's tied between two. My rookie year, my very first game, they try to run a little read option out of the pistol, and I just rocketed off the ball. And I hit the running back at the handoff, and he kicked. I hit him so clean that he actually kicked me in the back of my head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And to even make that story even better, my first game, my first experience in Japan, right? I actually got penalized for that hit.
Oh.
And this was before targeting was a thing, before all of those rules kind of started to come down on defenders. I had no idea, right? I was like, I hit the guy, and I'm just like, I'm pumped. I'm like, yeah, like, get the F out of here, stuff like that. And I see a flag, and me being, I'm like, what was the flag for? Like, there was no way. Like, that play was so quick. I'm like, how was there a penalty, right? And not even thinking it was me. And the ref goes, personal foul. And he says 23 in Japanese. And at the time, I knew how to say 23 in Japanese. And I go, wait, on me? I was like, what did I do? I was like, I didn't face mask him. I wasn't offsides. I was like, huh. And I was like, personal foul. And my head coach goes over and talks to them. And the ref's explanation was, the hit was too violent. Not that it wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't an illegal hit. It was too violent. That was literally the explanation we got from the ref. And, and so this is my first game. This is my first experience, and this is my first penalty. And it's kind of funny because in that moment, I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, this is how I play it. Well, you guys are going to have to deal with it. And that kind of became my reputation. Just like, no one's ever called me dirty. No one's ever called me cheap. Everybody's just like, you are just aggressive. And I'm like, that's how you're supposed to play. The second hit was probably a little bit after that game on a punt return before the crackback rules came in. This one, I want to say it was probably the most vicious because I decleated this guy and his helmet went about 30 yards backwards. I caught him that clean.
Did you get flagged on that one?
Nope.
It's different on special teams. They don't care as much.
Oh no, and this was like, and I'm from the old school where like punt return, it was like you're looking for those peel backs and just to like boom somebody, right? And they weren't doing that in Japan. Everybody's trying to man up and stuff like that, where I'm like, oh, no. You want to create a lane, like this is how you do it. And like I rock out, but I will give the guy props. He actually popped up. Like
I down to the sidelines and just collapsed.
Like he did a backflip as well. And he was down for a bit, but he got up on his own power and walked up. I actually went out on the field and like gave him a fist bump. And I was like, yo, like to get up from that, that's you a bad man. Impressive. Yeah.
Who's the toughest guy for you to shed a block on?
Here in Japan?
Yeah.
Shed a block. Either Kobayashi, who's the left tackle for the Fujitsu Frontiers, or what is his name? I want to say Mori, who's the right tackle for Panasonic.
Okay.
They're they're aggressive in their own right, but they're just so annoying to like get rid of. Like, so Kobayashi is very long for a Japanese. Like, if you saw him, like he's like, I want to say like 6'3",
Oh, wow.
6'4". Yeah, he's a good size
Big boy.
Yeah, he's a good sized boy, and just long arms. So it's like, to like engage him in the run game, it's like I almost gotta swipe his hands. So I have to swipe and then punch him because his arms are longer than mine. And then Mori for Panasonic, he just latches on, man. He's just like, even if you shed him, like he has a hold of you on the inside, and his hands are really good. He can get on inside of you so quick. So those two are just, I don't really like going against them, but I like going against.
It's the best compliment for an offensive lineman is you're very annoying.
Oh yeah. I don't know if they ever get that. Like I tell them, like, I do not like going against you guys. I love going against you guys, but I don't like going against you guys.
So what made you decide on the XLeague versus any other alternative football league? Well, what like shown about the XLeague? Because it looks like you just jumped right into it, and you've been balls to the wall ever since.
Yeah. So actually, I broke my foot before my pro day, about 2 weeks before my pro day. So NFL went right out the window. And it was rough. I went home. I couldn't walk for about, I want to say 5 or 6 months. So I was actually just kind of down in the dumps, a little bit. Football kind of ended like that for me. It was actually a good family friend of mine who used to coach the Seagulls, I want to say back in the 90s. He came over to my house. He literally lives right down the road from me, like a minute drive from my house. He came over to my house one day, and he was picking up his son from our house. And he looks at me, he's like, "You think you can still play football?" I went, "Hell yeah." And he's like, "What about Japan?" I was like, "There's football in Japan?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right, like, what do I have to do?" And he's like, "Okay." And this was about, I want to say October. He came over and he's like, "You need to get in shape by April." I was like, "I'll be in shape by December." So April rolls around. Yeah, I probably lost about a good 20 pounds. Got back kind of in football shape. The head coach and KJ fly out to Hawaii. And I'm sitting in my family friend's house, and we get to talking, and they're like, "If you think you can come out and perform, let's do it." So that was in April. June, I fly to Japan. They throw me in practice. I destroy every running back we had on the team, and they were like, "Do you want to play here?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." And it's been 10, 11 years of fun ever since.
Okay. What are some of your goals going into this season for the team? For the team, the biggest one, obviously, just win. Just to win a championship. That's always the goal. But I don't know if you guys see, but this is actually going to be it for me. This is my last season, and I kind of already put it out there. So for me, it's just leaving it all out there. And I tell my guys all that all the time. I was like, and I'm a big Ray Lewis guy, so I'm a big Ray Lewis fan and things like that. So when I talk, I always try to kind of emulate how he talks, and I talk about legacy and things like that. And so just go out there. I was like, whether we're practicing, I was like, you're gonna leave a legacy, and whether your legacy is good or not is on you. And that's kind of how I look at this year. It's like, I'm gonna leave a legacy for the rest of these guys, not just Americans, but for Japanese players. Like, this is the standard when you come to OBIC. This is the standard of defense. This is the standard of player. This is the standard of person. And so that's kind of my goal. On defense, our leaders, and I love our leader this year, Ogura, who's a safety for us. He goes, "Our goal this year is to shut everybody out." First day of meetings, that was his first thing. He came in and he was like, "We need to shut everybody out, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's our goal." And that was the end of the meeting. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I'm like, and everybody else is kind of like,
you know, and I'm kind of like, yeah, let's go. All right, cool. Let's
do
go. Yeah. So that's kind of the goal. Offense, you know, I think they're still trying to find their identity. We're still trying to put pieces here and there. We lost a lot of receivers. I think we lost 1, 2, 3 of our main core of our passing game. So, you know, that's kind of like a thing that they're trying to figure out there. But, you know, I think we're going to get there. I mean, the spring is a good time to just kind of reload, figure out who we are. And once the fall gets rolling, I think we'll be firing on all cylinders.
Okay. What is your favorite stadium out there to play at?
Oh,
I was just going to ask that.
The Tokyo Dome. I mean, because if you're playing in the Tokyo Dome, you're playing for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just the one game where you feel like, oh, this is a football game. You know, you're surrounded. You're going to have 50 to 60,000 in there, you know, and so that's the stadium I love to play in most. Yeah, because it's just, I mean, you're just in the environment is just the real deal kind of a like thing. I mean, like the other stadiums, like no knock on them, but you just don't have that, like, you can't fit as many people in as you can in the Tokyo Dome. So that's kind of what makes it just feel like the best place to play.
Now, how are like the fans there? Like, because like we see like fans being rowdy in the stands. Are they like kind of composed? Like how are they kind of acting? Do they like heckle you or
No.
not? Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay.
So like I always tell people, like in Japan, it's one of the funniest things to experience because it's like, you know, yeah, like us growing up, right? Like when I was at Colorado, you know, when we go to Nebraska, who's the
I'm a Nebraska fan, so I know exactly what it's like.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think this interview is done, and here, no. Well, no, but right. So like when we roll in, right? When we roll into Nebraska, it's like you hear it. You know, Jim, I ain't gonna put this on you. I've had sodas thrown at me, you know, just boom, like, and you have to go. You have to go through the fans when you're visiting Nebraska. You actually have to go through the concourse, right? And so it's just like, damn, like once you step out, it's like, oh yeah, we're not. Yeah, this is real. We're like here, the other team runs out, and just the other fans are just like it's like a golf tournament. Like you know what I mean? You're like, oh hey, you know. So like I always say, like it's kind of it's not surprising to me now because I've been here so long, but it's like a cool thing, but I wish people would do it so bad. Like I miss that. I miss rolling into someone else's house and just having the boos and the heckling and all of that. But I don't think you'll ever get that in Japan, at least not for American football. If you go to baseball and soccer,
I would think like baseball would be the one that comes to mind where like they get real intense with that.
I've been to a few where I'm like, oh, hey, I'm just here to watch.
How is the trash talking on the field?
Even that, so like, you know, amongst the Americans, you know, you get like the real deal trash talk and stuff like that. But it's like one thing I tell people, like, so like to trash talk in Japanese is weird because Japanese is such it's not an abrasive language. So even if you tell somebody like, you know, I'm gonna kick your ass or I'm like, you know, F you, it doesn't come across that way. So like I've had people like say stuff to me and I know exactly what they said and I know what they meant, but it's just kind of like, that no, like thanks, come again, like good try, like, you know, like, you know, there's like that weird and like, but I've had like a couple of guys lately, you know, they've thrown like a F you at me, then like kiss my ass. I've had a few Japanese players say it. And it's kind of like, even then when I catch it, I'm kind of like,
you're taken back by it. You're like, oh.
I was like, oh, didn't expect that.
Oh, all right, hey, you want to do this? Let's go. Like, you know.
You know, I read you're starting to do some NFT stuff. How'd you get into the NFT market?
So yeah, we did that. I did that for a little bit. I think So I actually had a former teammate approach me. And he was working, I think it was his friend's company that was doing it, and they kind of wanted to get into sports. I think they had a few soccer players. They had a few soccer players. They wanted to get into the football, American football scene here in Japan. And I don't know. I think maybe the timing wasn't right. I think because NFTs they're still so new, and I think people in Japan. It's still like they don't really know. It wasn't as mainstream as it was back in the States or across the other countries. But I was introduced from a former teammate of mine. Yeah, because I have a few that I've just been sitting on and just kind of letting them ride for a little bit. And so that's how he kind of approached me. He's like, "Oh, hey, you wanna make one?" And I was like, "Sure."
Okay.
So there was really no risk for me, so that's kind of why we went on and made them.
Oh, makes sense to me.
So living in Japan, I have to ask, or like while you're in Japan playing for a team, what is are you brand loyal to a specific convenience store?
That question is hard to ask because if you ask me specifically to what I would be loyal to, I would have an answer. But in general, no, I don't have a loyalty.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to ask me about like, so I'll be specific about that. So if you ask me about coffee,
yeah,
I'm going to 7-Eleven all day.
Okay, I respect that.
Okay.
If you ask me about ice cream, I'm going to Lawson's all day.
I was gonna say because when I visited over there for like 2 weeks, I was right next to a Lawson's every day when I was visiting. The ice cream was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, because so they have like just you've seen it, right? So like their thing is just massive. Like their selection is insane. So it's always like, we're 7-Eleven, I know they're gonna have the same old thing, same old little rotation stuff.
Yep.
Family Mart, same thing. Like, well, even Family Mart's ice cream is just like
it's all right.
So, yeah. So like, yeah. But if you like just overall food, I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. That's a good answer. That's a good answer right there.
Yeah. So Jim's all about the convenience then.
I like that.
Looking back at it, you're a 4-time all-league member. What is your this being your final year, what is your best moment been so far? If you had to like look back at the whole scheme, what is your like, that is it?
Probably the championship we won 2 years ago. One, because it was the first one I won with my little brother. Playing with me. And then 2, because it was the first one I won in front of my wife and my kids.
Okay.
Since my wife and I were dating, I've always come up short. So I won championships my first 2 years. And then we started dating, I want to say maybe, so this is, yeah. So I started dating her in my 4th year. And I went and I was losing in the semis at that point, and I wasn't winning any championships anymore. So, to kind of get one with my little brother, and then 2 in front of them to finally get one, that was probably like the best moment. And to beat Fujitsu, because they were ending our seasons for the last like 7 years in a row. So it was kind of like to finally get over that hump was like relief. And
I was going to say that was like the perfect revenge for the team. It was like Obik's back and they're beating Fujitsu. It was the perfect concoction.
I mean, yeah, because they would have, so they had won that one, they would have been the first team to have a 5P.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we were the first team to have a 4P. They were the second team, and we're the reason why they never got a 5P. So it was kind of like what Jim said. It was kind of like the way it all worked out was just like
everything lined up.
It was storybook.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you this, like here in the States, DFS, sports betting are a big thing. Is that over there with you guys in the XLeague, like teams and are partnering up with like DraftKings and FanDuel? Is that a thing in Japan with the XLeague? And you guys like teams partnering up, or is it not so much?
So gambling overall is kind of strict here.
Okay.
I think they just okayed like a casino.
Okay.
And then even then, like they still don't know where they're gonna put it. Like this thing will probably be made in like I want to say 10 years because they still haven't figured out where they're gonna put it. And then even I think online gambling is pretty strict and stuff like that. I mean the XLeague itself, it'd be kind of hard because there's such still like a disparity. I think probably
there's like 3 really good teams and then
so like unless those 3 teams are playing, it's kind of easy to call it, like if us and Fujitsu, us and Panasonic, Fujitsu are playing, then you're gonna kind of like, I don't know, right? Then you're gonna get like that 3-point spread or that, where like, if you're gonna have like us against say like Tokyo Gas, you gotta put like a 20-point spread out there because But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of keep up with it, but because it's always interesting. I mean, I do fantasy football and there's money on the side and stuff, but I don't think sports gambling is made its way here yet. And
I am on the front line for both XLeague and sumo gambling. Just to let you know, I'm on the front line for both.
Sumo would be interesting.
That would be awesome. It would be awesome. Be
so hard.
Have you been to a match?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
God,
yeah.
I'm so jealous. I tried to go when I was there and I couldn't make it.
Well, when you find your way back, message me and we'll go. Okay. I'm not saying I'm anybody, but I have friends who.
So are you like fully like after this season? Are you staying in Japan? Is that like?
That's the plan.
Okay.
So my plan is so with my 3 kids, I want them to do their early education here in Japan. I want them to be able to speak both languages fluently. And then the other goal is to just help out football in general. I want to be able to help coach, and then off the field just build the XLeague, build the college game up. There's so much potential here, and just trying to use myself, my connections, and just trying to make this thing into something where I hear players, fans, coaches, what they want this to become. So that's kind of my plan for now, is to stay here and try and help as much as I can build this brand up, build this thing up bigger than it already is.
So where are you at specifically in Japan? Like, where are you living?
So I live in Urayasu. I live literally right next to Disneyland. Like if I walk to you guys out to my balcony right now, like you can see the tip of Cinderella's castle.
Oh wow!
And you can see like the volcano for the other Disney Sea Park. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is dangerous when you have 3 kids.
I can only imagine. My nephews, I took them to Disneyland once, and I dropped way too much money.
Oh.
Way too much.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean the prices are going up here, but comparatively, it's still not as bad as the States.
My God! Like it was. I don't even want to fathom. Like just looking at like. You mentioned coaching. That's what I do. I do some coaching. I work with kids. I try to get kids into college, pursue the pro game if they're that good enough. Do you see yourself coaching like kids there? You mentioned the college ranks or staying in the XLeague ranks. Like, where do you want to focus your coaching to?
My goal is to become a head coach at the college level. And the reason why is because, I mean, this game has given me so much, and I want to give that gift back to the younger generation, especially these young college players, right? A lot of players actually start in college. So a lot of these guys, like, their first taste of American football is their freshman year in college. Whereas like, back in the States, we're playing at elementary. And even if you're not playing pads, right, you're playing flag, you're playing in the playground, right? So kind of one thing I want to do is I want to help build these guys, to only be great players, but like how you're talking, right, to be great men, to mentor them just through all of this. And that's kind of the coach I want to become. And that's kind of where I see myself, because that's the kind of coach I want to become. I think to be that, I'd have to be at the college level, because I'd have to be able to interact with the kids every day. So that's kind of my goal.
That's cool, dude. I'll tell you what, as a coach, dude, as much as I get a success, like when one of my kids like gets a D1 offer, or like I had one just signed with like a good program today, but it's that message like after they've graduated college, they send me that, hey man, you know what? Thank you for teaching me this. Or like, hey man, you know, I'm getting married. I have like 2 kids I used to coach are getting married this summer. And like they invited me to the wedding. Just like stuff like that. Like that, you get like so fulfilled from that, man. So like that's something you're really gonna enjoy moving in.
Yeah, like my wife we had our wedding a couple years ago, and like I had the only coach that couldn't make it for me was my college coach, Dan Hawkins. But you know, and I know he's the head coach at UC Davis right now, and I know I had my wedding in March, which is spring ball, right?
Yeah.
So by all means, I understand. You know, and my Pop Warner coach, you know, shows up, and like I'm hugging this guy, and like I'm like, and I was terrible. I started at 7 years old, and I sat on the bench my whole Pop Warner career. And like I'm hugging this guy, and I'm telling him like, thanks for never giving up on me. I was like, you know, you never gave up on me, and like that was like, and it took me years to realize what you actually did. And my wife was like, who is that? And I was like, that was my first football coach. And she was like, what? Like, I was like, yeah. Like that was my first football coach. And she was like kind of mind blown, like just the whole connection, and that I still have that connection.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how beautiful football really is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I tell everybody, like, I mean, I'm sure you tell people, right? Like all your kids, right? Like if you use football in the right way, you can go far in life.
Oh yeah.
Instead of, right, like, you know, I mean, I come from a place where at one point my high school had, I think they were tied with the most NFL players in the league at the moment. I think at one point we had like 9 or 10. And like, but I grew up like, you know, the NFL ain't the end goal, right? It's using football to get there, or using football to get to college and stuff like that. So no, that's 100% what I want to teach as well. I mean, without football, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have my kids. But like, you know, I wouldn't be living in Japan for the last 11 years. But it's all because of a game. Like that's what's so crazy about all this. Yeah. I wouldn't be here talking with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, what's your go-to like victory meal or celebration? Like after a big win, what's your go-to? Like, what do you do?
Go-to, is one of 2 things. It's either 2 large pizzas from Domino's, or I go to all you can eat sushi.
Ooh.
So I'm on like 2 ends of the spectrum. I'm like super American or super Japanese. Yeah. So I either go and get just completely all the grease and fat in, or I go and just get all the fish and everything I can get.
What toppings you putting on that pizza?
So I'm actually, I've been practicing vegan for the last couple of years, but every now and then, like once or twice a month, I'll go and splurge a little bit. But I get like I usually get a Supreme, and then the other one, depending on if they have it or not, I get like that 4 cheese with the honey.
Oh,
fromage.
Is it regular honey, or do you do spicy honey?
No, just a regular honey.
Okay.
Yeah. The spicy, I put like all the spicy stuff on the like the Supreme. I put all the
flakes and everything.
Yeah, the cornflakes go on that. The honey stays on like that melted fromage cheese. I forget what it's called, but that one is just so good.
Damn it! Now I'm getting hungry.
So going back to what is, in terms of like, we always hear about quarterback and defensive matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Who is like the toughest quarterback pre-snap you've played against over there?
Kobe Cameron. No ifs, ands, or but Kobe Cameron. He played at La Tech. He played at Fujitsu. And he's the reason why I went like 5 or 6 years without getting a championship.
Okay.
He didn't need an OC. That's how good this guy was.
Oof. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Like, so he was running run and shoot. 1, he was running run and shoot. 2, he was running no huddle. And so like my first couple of games against this guy, like it was like, is this guy really just like calling it on the line? And like it took me a while. And like it was like after a couple of series, I went to the sideline. I was like, yo, coach, he's not getting the plays. He's calling the plays. And I mean, that's just like he would just like for years. Like seriously, it was annoying, man. It was, I mean, he was that good.
Jeez.
And there was times where like I'd look at him like, how the hell did you not make it to the NFL?
Yeah.
You know, but he got picked up, I think, undrafted free agent to the Panthers, who at the time had Cam Newton. So it was kind of like,
yeah,
you know, you weren't really gonna, you know, as good as he was, right? Like Cam Newton skyrocketing at the time.
Where'd you finish in your fantasy football league?
So in one, I won it all.
Okay.
And in two, I had such a bad luck year last year. It was like I had Henry, I had D-Hop, and then who else did I have? Who else who was the other big guy that got hurt? I had all three of them. And it was like, damn.
Nick Chubb? He missed a couple.
Yes. I think that was who the other guy too was. I traded to get him. I traded somebody to get Chubb. And then it just went. And it was just like I was scrambling in that league. Where the other league, it was like, you know, I fell on Cooper Kupp. I wish I would have fell on Cooper Kupp. I had Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp.
Oh, dude, that's all you needed to play, man.
Yeah. So it was like,
just easy, just auto win that one.
It was like I want to say I got Cooper Kupp in like I want to say. I mean, you're not going to get him this year, but it was like in 6th round.
Yeah, like 5th, 6th, easily, because like everyone thought it was going to be Robert Woods.
I was like, I'll take this guy.
You mentioned you only practice on the weekends. What day are the games?
Sundays.
Okay.
So we play bi-weekly. So yeah, so we'll practice for one weekend, run through Saturday, play Sunday, and then that same rotation of practice, run through, play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what did you mean earlier in the interview when you said like it's not really it's not like a professional league? What did you mean? Like
so everything is company ran, right? So OBIC is the company that sponsors the team, and all the Japanese players aren't. They all work full time, and so like our job description really is like we're somewhat of assistants to the teams and stuff like that. So we're assigned to help game plan and things like that. So contractually, like things are written out where we have to help with a game plan, have meetings here and there and stuff like that. And even with sponsorships, so the sponsoring companies, right, anything they kind of need help with promoting or things like that, that's also part of our description. Obviously with COVID, it's been kind of hard to do events and go do things. So, and here, I mean, we're still like, you know, I think just last week, like the prime minister was like, oh, if you go outside, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. And I'm kind of like, yo, we're like a year behind everybody else, man. Like, what's up? I mean, that's a wholly different issue, but you know, so it's just like, you know, that's kind of like the thing right now where like all the Japanese players, they all have a full-time job. So these guys are working full-time jobs, and then the 2 days that they have off, they're putting their bodies through it.
That's wild. I love that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You have a full-time job, and the weekends are just going to do that.
Yes, and I tell her like I have so much respect for that because there's no way in the States, no way. There's no way you could have that setup and have the quality of football that we do. Like that's kind of the amazing thing. And I said, I remember for years, me and one of the former Fujitsu running backs, Gino Gordon, we're like, imagine what this will look like if anybody ever just walked in and was like, you guys are all professionals now. Like the quality of play is so high already.
It would go through the roof.
Yeah. And so working on that. We're working on it. Baby step.
Hey, I'm just trying to push to like, I want an easy way to watch the games. That's all I'm looking for.
But yeah, I'm trying to push for English commentary. I mean,
hey, there's going to be at least one game this year that I do that I'm going to try my best to commentate over. I'm going to do it like what was that old Spike TV show?
Oh,
because I know they were dubbing over Takeshi's Castle. It was like
yes. Wow, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, hey, Jim, and we're going to go to this challenge. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
My mom used to get mad at me for watching that. I'm like, there's worse things I could be watching.
Do you think, based on your last comment, like if the players in the league, this was their full-time job, do you think this could take over the CFL?
I think it could, but I think it'd be hard to compare it because they obviously they play different rules and things like that. I think we could compete with them. That's for sure. I think that if they really buckle down, if the league ever really pushed to really create something, I think we could easily compete with the CFL. Just the abilities here are, I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people think, Japanese, small, not very big, things like that, right? Where I'm sure you guys, if you keep up with the CFL, you've seen, what's his name? He's an old lineman that plays for Winnipeg, I want to say. Blue Bombers, right? No.
Yeah, Blue Bombers,
yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, so there was an old lineman who plays at Fujitsu, and I'm talking about this kid is massive. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 310 pounds. Full Japanese. Yes. Like, first time I met him, he was still in college. I was like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I walked out to their practice, and it was like him and then everybody else. It was kind of it was like the Blind Side, right? The movie, Michael Orr, and then everybody's just like that's what he looked like. And I mean, he has the skill set. And my uncle was working with him. My uncle Chris Naole, who played in the NFL for 13 years, was like, this guy could play in the NFL. And I'm like, for you to say that, that's got to be true. So, there's potential. There's athletes, there's potential here. And I think we could easily. I've played against teams in Europe. And we actually played, I think it was my second year, we played Düsseldorf Panthers. I didn't play, and we blew them out 30-something to 7.
Yeah, I think as it stands now, it's widely considered it goes NFL, CFL, and then XLeague to me is the right especially out of all the international leagues, it's CFL then XLeague right there with them, and then it's every other league. Yeah,
I just think there's a lot of just because I think the biggest advantage they have is that there is a college system. So when these guys do get to the X League, it's they have at least 4 years at the minimum, right? They have 4 years of experience. So I think if we can ever break that wall down, I think it's game on with everybody else in the world.
I love it. I love that mentality. I'm just trying to get an easy way to watch it so I can show everybody the games because some of the craziest football plays I've ever seen have happened in X League games.
Oh, yeah.
You see some really fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's where I think Japanese players have because they're so detail oriented, right? So when it comes to a play, they're all right, precision is everything to them. And so I think that's why you can see a lot of these trick plays and stuff like that. Shoot, I'm not scared to say it on here. We have 7 or 8 fake punts that I could run.
Well, you watch out because I'm gonna do my best to have this also streaming with Japanese subtitles. So you watch out. People might see it.
People have no idea. Trust me, I have such I've at least 3 of these fakes haven't been run since the 90s. Oh, I feel because that's where I got the clip was from the 90s.
Really?
And so but I kind of I used that play, but I put it in a spread formation, in the spread formation, but I kind of used the concept, right? And we ran it in practice and guys were like, what the hell was that? Like we don't tell the scout team that we're about to run it, and we just run it. And guys are just like, "What the hell was that?"
Like, what just happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And I mean, there's so much, there's so much fun, and I've seen some hilarious trick plays, and I've seen all kinds of stuff done, and I mean, that's even where like, I mean, some of this for the Japanese guys, right? They're doing it straight out of just the pure love of the game, so keeping it fun, right? Doing the trick plays, running all the funky stuff. I'm all for it too.
I'm just so happy. I have two more questions. The first being, so I have this plan of year-round football going on right now in my life. The XLeague is a big part of this. So in the fall, obviously here in the States, we have college football and the NFL. NFL ends in February, and then starting in 2023, we'll have the XFL starting to kick off in the spring. They're done. Once they finish, the USFL starts up. Once they're done, we have the XLeague doing their spring like tournament and the fun games like that. We have the CFL starting up. And then the fall comes back around. We have college football, CFL, NFL, and XLeague. Because like Japanese college football and XLeague, to me, it's the perfect nightcap to a night of football. Because you'll be watching like a Saturday of college football. You'll watch all the games from 9 a.m. till whenever, and then you get that late night Hawaii game. And then you get that super late night Japanese college football, or some nights XLeague game, and it's just it's my favorite way to spend like a Saturday into Sunday. I'll be up from like 8 a.m. until like 4 a.m. the next day, and it's perfect. It's just all football.
Me and you can be friends, even though you're a Nebraska fan. I think we can be friends.
I think we can get past this. I'm friends with another Colorado fan. We can be the bridge. Although, if I hate any team in college football, Colorado's the top of the list. I hate Colorado so much.
You wouldn't be a Nebraska fan if you didn't have us at the top of the list.
There are 3 teams I hate more than life, and it's Colorado, Texas, and Miami.
Okay.
Wait, why Miami? Oh, because of the national.
Like the last time we played them, we got into a big there was a huge brawl.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Like I was part of a group that like tried to tip the Miami bus over. It was a whole deal.
Hey, look, West Virginia, I don't know if it was fans or somebody, they took the lug nuts off our bus.
That's insane. That's hilarious.
No, it wasn't hilarious. We were like,
I mean, that's hilarious like in hindsight, but that is very scary.
Oh yeah, because we're driving and all of a sudden the bus went boom and the tire just goes and we're like, what? And like, luckily there was enough weight on there for when the bus driver hit the brakes, the bus just stopped. But that was probably West Virginia was a wild. They threw a keg at our bus.
It's different up there in the mountains. It's different up there in Appalachia.
And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's one road to their stadium. So you're like navigating this road on this big bus, and on the way to their stadiums, all the frats. So like red Solo cups, beer cans, boom. And then like, I kid you not, it was a keg. Boom! Hit the side of our thing. And I'm just like, did they just throw a keg at our bus? Like, yeah. Some of the stuff I missed all that. I miss all that. It was some good times, but you're never gonna get anything like that in Japan. I mean, people are here.
What if because they're starting to do it more often? They're doing these international like opening week college football games, like Nebraska Northwestern's playing in Ireland this year. I've been trying to petition. They used to play in like the Tokyo Dome to open the season back in the day. I want to bring that back.
Yeah, I mean,
bring some of that college football culture to Japan.
Who tried to break that like trivia on me? Where was Emmitt Smith's first game? And I was like, Tokyo Dome. And somebody's like, how do you know that? And I was like, oh, I play in Japan.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should call. I don't know how much NFL connects I have.
I've just been like a huge advocate of like bringing back like those international games. Like I want to bring the college football culture all around the world.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like I don't know if anybody would. If they were to do even just like, let alone an NFL, if they were to bring any college team, it wouldn't matter who it was. And they had it in the Tokyo Dome, I will put a whole lot of money that tickets will be sold out in 1 hour.
Oh, I bet.
Like gone. Like, and it wouldn't matter who it was. Like you could have like anybody come, but like a college, like the fact that you would have a college game, oh, it would sell out so fast. Yeah,
Beautiful.
We should call people. We should try and make that work. I would love that.
I'll call who I can. I don't know who I can call, but I'll call who I can.
I'll be commentating up top and just be like, "Come on, man." I don't know if you guys ever talked to John Gunning, but we always joke that me and him are going to become like the Skip and Shannon of the XLeague when I retire. Because I tell guys across the league, like if I ever retire and I commentate, trust me, I will not hold back against any of you. I don't care how much I like you.
I'll do it because like as far as like an English broadcast goes, they probably they wouldn't even care. You can do whatever you want. No,
but it'd be fun, you know. I think because like you said, right, like you watching, I don't even account for that how many people who aren't family members watching the XLeague live. Because I think like for me and my brother, how many people have we passed that password out to? I think like 60, 70 people in my family have that password to watch the game. We only have one account, but we spread it.
I catch it when I can. Like I'll watch all the highlights, and then if I can get a password to get it, I do. Otherwise, I definitely watch all the highlights, and then it's so fun. Yeah. It's so.
Because where are you living, Jim? Where are you?
I live in Nebraska right now.
Oh yeah, so your timeline, right? So like in Hawaii, it's kind of lucky, right? So if our game's kicking off at like 2, it's only 7 at night in Hawaii.
They usually started around like the earliest one I've seen for me is like midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah. So that's like the early kickoff for us. That's what 11.
Yeah. Usually if I have to say typical, it's usually around like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. So later game. So that's why my family's lucky. I mean, you know, they don't have to stay up till like some crazy hour of the night unless we're playing at like the championship game, which is 7 at night. So then that's midnight, but my family stays up anyway, so
it's freaking perfect. Then I had
on that English commentary for you guys.
So I noticed on your right shoulder, you got a little tattoo going on there. How's that been in Japan? Because I know like they have the culture wise, like you hear they have kind of a thing with tattoos.
So up until I want to say what was it 3 years ago? Yeah, I had to cover it up every time in the games. I had to cover it up. I've actually got games too. So this one's new. But when I first played in Japan, my left arm and my left chest I had tattooed and stuff. But I actually got a penalty for this once. It was like a in uniform infraction because like somebody pulled my sleeve up. Like it was after a play and like some guy pulled all my sleeve up all the way, and like I'm like on the way like trying to fix my arm and like the ref threw the flag and I'm like you know. But now it's not a rule anymore, and so like, and then especially like you say on this side, like this, my right side is actually Japanese style. I just don't have color in it. I didn't want to put any color in it, but a lot of people when they see this side, they get kind of like, I'm like, I'm not in the Yakuza. You like, but I mean, I think so. Like the younger generation. Like my generation, around people my generation and younger, it's become more open. It's actually a lot more acceptable. The older generation, it's kind of like hit or miss. Like you're either gonna get people who are like, oh yeah, like it's 2022 already, whatever, like cool, or that you come across the people who are like, oh, you're a dangerous person. So it's getting there. My in-laws, I hid all this from my in-laws for like when we were dating. I want to say like for a year before I finally wore like a short sleeve shirt around them. And then, and then when me and my wife got married, I think our second or third year anniversary, I got this one.
Okay.
Yeah. And my mother-in-law is like all in love with it too now. My mother-in-law is like, oh my God, I love that tattoo now. And I'm like, you are afraid of these things.
You got any more, Eric?
Nah, that's it, my man.
I have one more. It's the final question I ask to every player that I interview. Size me up. Take a look at me. Like I'll stand up here a little bit. Take a look. Looking at me. Do you think you could take me in a fight?
I don't want to be mean, but I can take anyone.
No, be mean. Be mean. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, easily.
That's the answer I'm always looking for. Thank you.
Easily.
God, thank you.
So, the funny thing is, it's like I actually grew up getting bullied. Like I grew up in Hawaii, where O linemen and D linemen were like 6'4", 280 pounds, and I think I graduated high school like 6'1", 180. And so, you know, and I was a coach's son too. So, so my dad actually threw me in boxing when I was like 15.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh,
You could just
So-
beat my No, you're
yeah,
out of
15 seconds.
yeah. No, out of all the players I've interviewed, you are the second that has been like that quick to be. The other one was Willie Jefferson, defensive end for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's like, I could beat your ass right now. I was.
Wait, you say he played D-line? You say he played D-line, right?
He plays D-line, yeah.
Yeah, it's at the
I know.
D-line answer.
It was at CFL. This was at CFL Media Days this last year. And I asked him, and then like he said that, and then I got taken aside from the media, the brass at the CFL, and be like, "Don't ask those questions. You can't ask that anymore."
Oh no, I would have been all for that. Oh, that's no fun. We need to.
Because I was asking I ask it of every player, like, "Do you think you take me?" And then yeah, so yeah, that's the answer I'm looking for. I want a football player, especially a D end or like a linebacker, anyone who plays that kind of position. I want that confidence like instantly.
Oh yeah. Like it's so. I forget who asked me. I think it was you, Eric, asked me like about like trash talking and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, like on the field, it is what it is. But like after the game, it's like, you know, like some guys they try to make things too personal and stuff like that, and it's like. But last year, and I don't know if you can go watch the replay, Jim, or not. But we played Tokyo Gas, and they had what was his name, Gerard Evans. And this was hilarious. So it was like in the first or second quarter. So like he gets tackled by one of our DNs and he starts mouthing off like, "I'm gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass." And I'm like, "Bro, shut up and go to the sideline. Like, just shut up." And he was like, and he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass, 23. I'm gonna kick your ass." And I was like, "Oh, meet me outside in the parking lot." And he's like, and he comes back. He's like, "What's up? What's up?" And I that's when I looked at him and I told him, and this was in the first quarter, and I told him, "You're not scoring today." I was like, "This is as close as you're gonna get to this end zone. We're gonna block this kick, and you ain't scoring today. Shut up, sit down, and go sit your ass over there." And sure enough, our 3 tech blocks the field goal, and we blanked them.
I think I remember that game. I think I do remember that game because we were just like, I was talking about like, yeah, I was explaining to my friend like these are the teams, and then I was looking over the scores, and I was like, oh, now this is a fucking score right here.
And he was like, but he like when after that play, like he kept coming like at the sideline. He was like telling me, he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass in the locker." He's like, "Meet me outside in the parking lot. Meet me outside in the parking lot." I was like, "All right." I got dressed and I waited outside in the parking lot. And he comes out and he's like, crazy thing is, he's bigger than me. He was actually a big boy. He's a big quarterback. And like he comes out and he was like, "Hey, good game." I was like, yo,
Man, yeah.
I was like, come on, man. Like, you know, but it's always fun. There's some good guys out here, but it's always good fun talking. You know who's actually fun? I don't know if you watched him, Jim, is James Brooks for IBM.
The name sounds super familiar. I think so.
Huge DN for IBM. He is hilarious to listen to sometimes because he comes like guns up blazing sometimes at guys and like talking about like, "I'm gonna rip your effing head off," and I'm just like, and like I'm probably one of the few guys like, you know, I come onto the field, I'm like, "Hey, not with me, don't do that." And he's like, "Come on, BJ." I'm like, no, bro, don't. But I think it's the whole D-line thing that we have that respect, but no. Yeah.
God,
I mean, come on. How am I also going to answer that question, Jim? I'm not supposed to say maybe.
No, that's the answer I'm looking for. That's perfect. I appreciate that. BJ Beatty, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on Spring Fever. Man, is there anything you want to shout out before we send you off?
No, I appreciate you guys bringing me on, you know, just talking about the XLeague and trying to give it more exposure, you know. I mean, definitely being here, like, I don't know how much gets out, you know, to back to the States or Europe or wherever across the world, you know. And when I got that message, I was like, dang, like me? You sure me? Like, you know, I was kind of like, you know, honored to be able to represent for the XLeague and kind of give the information and just tell my story and tell everybody's story here in the XLeague. You know, I appreciate you guys for letting me on here.
You bet. We might have to bring you back on for the fall preview.
Oh, hey, let's do it. You know, I'll give you guys, if we do betting, I'll give you guys the tips. Hey, this team is, you know.
That's what I need.
I might try. I'm gonna if no online book comes up with some lines, I'm gonna try and come up with my own lines.
Oh yeah,
I just post them out there.
Yeah, there was guys last year. I was definitely like, I got to teach you guys how these teams work out here. But yeah, again, appreciate you guys, man. I really enjoyed it.
You bet, man. Thanks for being on.
No, yeah,
Thank you.
Have a good one, dude.
You too. Take care, guys.
Peace out. Good night. Moving up north to the CFL, we have two little bits of CFL news. The first being, it looks like the lockout continues, folks. The CFL players denied whatever the CFL Players Association and the league agreement came to. It seems like at some point the two things that they're kind of really trying to fight are the money situation. The players obviously want more money, and then the limit on American players.
So do they want more American players, or they want to?
I think the players want more American players.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's the fact that there's a cap is kind of dumb to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, the Canadian players are an important part of the game, but the good Canadian players would still get their chance. Like,
right.
At some point, you're sacrificing like quality of play.
Yeah, and I hate saying this.
They already have a fully Canadian football league.
I know, but I agree with what you're saying, because by having American players in the league, it's going to raise the quality of the league, which is going to force the Canadian players to get better. It will make them better.
Yeah.
It will make them better. And by raising the bar of the product and getting better players there, you're going to get better athletes, if that makes sense.
It makes 100% sense. All the water rises for all the ships. I don't know how the actual saying goes.
Now, my thing is this. So this is my worry, because I love the CFL. I mean, it starts in June. I love it. Friday Night Football, ESPN.
The unique rules, the Rouge. I love everything about it.
I love the placement of the upright. But this is my worry. There is all these rumors during the COVID about the league folding, teams not having enough money. And now this is happening. You know what I mean? Like,
if it was like one of these things, that'd be one thing to be talking about. But the fact that it's like a domino effect, it's
after,
worrying.
Like right after it. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to, a lot of times when we look at this lockout stuff, we tend to forget that the vendors in the stadium, it affects them. It affects like ticket sales. There's so many layers that this stuff affects. Even like, now I haven't been to a game. You've been up to a game.
The only one I've been to is the Grey Cup.
Now, well, I guess like the restaurants around the stadiums, the bars around the stadiums, it affects them.
Yeah, especially in those certain towns that like are really big CFL towns. It affects like the local towns. It affects all the restaurants. It affects probably the hotels. It affects like a whole bunch of stuff. There's a huge domino effect from this. And
that's the sad thing. And I really hope like they get everything in order, because like at the end of the day, like, you know, you and I have talked about it. Football is going to rule. Like, if there's football on, people are going to effing watch it. But the CFL doesn't want this to go on so long when it loses its ESPN time slot in August, at the end of August, because of like college football's on. They need to take this window when it's
When
only
they're like the
competing-
spotlight.
Yeah, when it's only competing against MLB, because like pretty soon NBA's gone, NHL's gone. It's just they need to take advantage of this downtime, and when you start thinking about how everyone's going to other people are affected, it's kind of
It
sad.
sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah.
And I know there's I think there are 2 teams right now that are still some of the players are reporting for practices.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a whole lockout's just not something the CFL needs right now, which just sucks because we're all rooting for the CFL. Man, there's some CFL fans I'm very anti them because they're very anti-America, where they're just they diminish the USFL and the XFL and whatnot. I love all these leagues, and the CFL is quality wise, it's the best one.
Yeah, I'm equal opportunity with my football love.
Exactly, but the other what was that?
Do you think they get replacement players?
If they do, maybe they just get replacement Canadian players.
Well, no, serious. No, but I mean, seriously, if they can't agree, do you think to keep?
I
stuff
feel like football players kind of stick together more than that, though.
I mean,
I feel especially who are you going to get to replace these players when the XFL's coming right up, and then they're going to be contracting a lot of these players too.
So hypothetically, let's say I'm Shea Patterson. I'm baby hands Shea Patterson right now.
Okay.
My stint's over. The not the XFL, Canadian League needs replacement. CFL needs a replacement. They call me. Can I go up there and play?
Depends when. This year, no, because you have that USFL contract, which I think was a 2-year contract.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the USFL players can't play in the other leagues.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
That was one of the reasons people speculated that they were having trouble filling rosters mid-season with new players, is because those players are trying to wait it out and see if the XFL comes calling, what the pay is going to be like there, or see if they can make their shot on an NFL practice squad or the CFL or anything like that.
But even if Shea Patterson's cut, which is
if he's cut from the league, I think that's different.
Because you said he got released by
he's on another team.
Sorry, bud. I lost power.
Oh, you're good.
Do you think so? How does that work? So Patterson got released by the Panthers and got picked up by the Breakers?
Yeah, so I think maybe there's a whole a waiver situation. He might have just gotten directly traded.
Okay.
But they didn't I don't know how it really works.
Okay. So he would have to get completely axed from. Okay.
I would assume so, because that contract's pretty that was a big thing when everyone was seeing it, because the USFL wants to hold on to these players. They're not allowed to go join the XFL just later this year.
But they could join the NFL.
They could probably join the NFL. Yeah, they'd be fine with that, because then that'd just be better promotion for the league.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I
don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it could. Do you think they fold?
I think they have another year in them, because I think 2 of the teams made profits last year still.
Okay.
I think the big rumor right now is Toronto potentially selling the team.
Okay.
So that's still a possibility. Maybe if they don't play at all this year, then yeah, I think they're done. No football 2 out of the last 3 years. Not a good look.
Yeah, I think they're done too.
If they don't play at all, then yeah. But I think they work it out and get a season together. I think they have to. I'm on the board with no preseason, because preseason I think is supposed to start literally next weekend. So that's not happening.
Preseason is not going to be happening.
Yeah, preseason's off the board, but I'm still on the table that they get something worked out for the season.
Okay.
I'm call me an optimist, but that's what I'm thinking.
I usually tell people to call me an asshole.
That's fine too. You can call me that all day. The other bit of CFL news, this happened earlier in the week. Calgary player Brendan Langley at the airport throwing hands with a United, what is it, just a luggage person?
This was a guy, Okay. This is a story I was heard. He wants to use a wheelchair to put some of his bags in.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. And instead of paying the quarter or the dollar or whatever for the little push thing. And this guy wasn't letting him do it. And then like we'll see the footage here. Like the confidence in this guy's got some confidence rolling up, dude.
Yeah, you can see just right off the bat from the first image. Langley is much taller than this gentleman.
But this gentleman is a little stocky though. You know, he's
stocky. He could be solid. You know, we'll see.
He could have that Butterbean like little you know, could have the Butterbean.
We'll see. We'll see how Butterbean he really is. Oh, there we go. Play right now. There we go. Oh. Okay, so first off, he took that hit like a champ.
Yeah, he like iron chin right there. You know, like he took it. It really didn't seem to knock him. But this is my issue here. Where is his hands?
They're
hands
right
are down. Hands are down, man. Hands are too low, dude. If you're gonna be in a fight, dude, you got to get those hands up. You know, we see his left foot in front of his right foot. You know, so he can get the quick hip flinch and like pack a punch. But dude, hands too low, man. Hands are too low, dude. You got to get those hands up, ready to block, man.
No defense whatsoever. You're just asking to punch in the face. Which look at the dodges though.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, can you do me a favor? Can you just rewind at one point? Now, if you're the lady right there behind her, do you see that? Do you see the lady with the glasses?
The lady in the pink, or the other airline worker?
I mean, let's give her props because she senses the issue. She says, "Hey, my coworker is going to get knocked the F out.
Let's get out of the way."
Let's get out of the way. But she has the presence of mind to help the young lady who's just trying to check her bag and probably get to, you know, Pensacola, Florida right here. You know, that awareness, her Madden awareness grade is probably 99. I'm not going to lie.
Props to her.
Yeah.
This is where his confidence also goes from 99 to 0. Because he's right there. He's like, let's go. And then all of a sudden, dodge it, and then just, it takes 1. 2. So his first bout sent him back into the baggage, those like desks back there.
Yeah.
And he stumbles back up. The confidence is still there, but man, my dude is wavering.
He's just overmatched right now. Now, look at he's going back for more though. He's going back.
Yep. Let's see how this plays out. Oh,
you know, look at it. Look, hands are going.
Hands are still down though.
I know, but like you have to get those hands up. That way you can block. You know, this kind of screams like, hey, you know what? I think I'm tough, but I've never been in a fight before.
Yep. And then he just straight up slaps the guy. Like he slaps Langley like right in the face.
But he does it when he's not looking though. You know what I mean?
Sucker punches him. He sucker punches him. Just disrespectful.
And then he gives him the command, but his hands are still low.
My favorite is Langley's reaction. Like once he gets slapped.
He's like, who is this guy?
He's like, who does this dumbass think he is? And now Langley's just going to let loose. Like he was taking it easy on him before.
No, I'm not going to lie. I would have lost it if he would have fell on the belt.
Oh, if he would have fell on the belt and started like moving.
I just saw him like go back to like where the bags go.
I just love it. Like Langley's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to take it easy on you.
Boom. You know, and just like timber. But this is my favorite part. Roll it for a second. Roll it, like keep rolling it. What's the guy with the khakis doing right here? You see him.
Let's see what he's doing. What's he doing here?
Well, just watch khakis right here. And again, rewind it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be John Madden you right now.
No, he's
but
like,
look at the awareness, dude. She gets out of the way.
Yep, he gets out of the way, but then he's like, hey, back off, man. He's down.
And meanwhile, khakis is trying to give him a little, but watch him get up. Watch what happens when he gets up. Watch this. Look at his head. Look at his head. Boom! Right in the side of the computer.
I never noticed that one. That's a new one.
Right
for
in the
me.
side of the computer. Like,
He's out of it. He's done.
like this is he's up, but he's out right here.
How are you going to lose a fight this bad and still lose your job and get sued probably?
You know what, dude? I
Rough day for our boy here.
you know, just what's the song by Kenny? You got no one to hold him, no one to fold him, no one to
He
walk
should have
away.
folded right away.
And look, he's coming back for
He's
more.
coming back for more.
And like in the video, he's like, your boy wants more. And then look at, here comes this girl. No.
She's
done.
like, no, stop it.
No, you're done. Now the guy has his hands on his hips, dude. Like, and like,
And just, that was beautiful.
like, this is my thing, dude. Like, this is my thing. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, imagine like you're this guy, you go home from work, you probably just got there for your shift, you're home an hour later, you come home, your eye is huge, you have a cut, and then your wife's like, dear, what are you going home? Well, babe, just Google fight at Pensacola Airport or wherever it is. Like, you know what I mean?
He was all over Twitter that morning. It was awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, God, could you imagine going home to that wife? Like, if he's married?
He's
And,
probably
like,
not married.
Yeah, going home. But you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, dude. He got his ass kicked, dude.
Yeah, he got destroyed.
The best part, though, is when he hits the freaking computer. And the confidence the guy has. He has such confidence going into that, dude.
That's what I respect. I respect the confidence.
But then the only thing better would have been if Chris Tucker would have appeared and be like, boy, you just got knocked the fuck out.
That would have, if someone would have been there to do that, that would have been chef's kiss.
that would have made it. But yeah, dude, but at the end of the day, it just goes back to the thing. There's just a lot of stupid people. Like, you work for an airline? Why are you trying to fight anybody? Like, what? Like, honestly, like, what is that going to accomplish?
It'll do nothing, and it just makes your day worse. So, nope, I would just dip out.
Lost job, sued, getting trolled on Twitter. Call that the hat trick.
Just flat out embarrassing. That was the good bit of CFL news. So that was the good news for the CFL. Little bit of XFL news, and by XFL news I mean like there's a potential rumor that June 1st we might be getting team names and cities. So a week from today,
which is always good. You know, we can finally get our, pick our teams. But
what city do you want? What city do you like? Does Eric really want?
You know what? I want to see if San Antonio gets a franchise. If San Antonio gets a franchise, I'm gonna go with San Antonio.
I bet they do. I just wonder what team name they go with.
God, you know what, dude? All I can think about. Did you ever see that Charles Barkley clip where he's talking about the women of San Antonio and the Churros?
Oh.
I mean, oh my God! If they were named the San Antonio Churros, that would make my day.
That'd be amazing. I would love that. I'm glad St. Louis is back. That one's basically confirmed. I would love to see Houston. Obviously, I think Houston stays. I'm excited for I bet they go San Diego.
Really?
I bet they do. I bet they move the LA team to San Diego.
Orlando.
That's probably a team too. I would love like a Denver.
Really?
Yeah. I want a team close by.
What
the
about
mountain areas and the Midwest get like no love for these leagues.
Hey, buddy, I'm here in the burbs of Chi.
I'd love Chicago. Chicago getting an XFL team would be awesome too.
I would love anything, dude, but we get no love. No love. What about is any place? What about a team like in Albuquerque?
New Mexico. I think at that point they'd probably rather go like Vegas or something.
Hey,
Which would also be awesome. Vegas would be awesome. I think they had the Outlaws before.
That was with like He Hate Me.
Yeah, that was the 2001 team.
Yeah.
God, what a good time. That is all the spring football news we care about today, this week. What a good interview. What an awesome time. My man Eric, where can the people find you? What do you got going on?
You can find me on the Twitter, the Gram, the TikTok, the YouTube, eTalk21 Sports. I'm all over the place. You know, Uncle Jim's gonna come on the podcast tomorrow. Talk to Uncle Rico. I'm gonna try to convince you to take that Molars plus 460 on Saturday.
You're gonna have to convince me a little more than that.
I'll work on it. I'll sugarcoat you.
Yeesh. We'll see. We'll see. You guys know where to find me at XFL Gym everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all over. I'm cooking up something tomorrow night after the podcast with Eric, after Spring Fever. Guess what I'm cooking? Some nice risotto.
Can I make a request?
Yeah, sure. I always take requests.
I tried making this and it sucked, but so I want you to try it. It was what I do. I took chicken sausage and chicken and tried to make smash burgers.
Smash burgers with like ground up chicken, kind of?
Yeah, ground up. It was like an Italian chicken. I tried to Italian it with marinara sauce. I colossally failed.
Okay, I might try and do that. I could do that. Do like a little chicken sandwich smash burger.
Yeah, but like I mixed it in with like chicken sausage too. It was like ground up chicken, and then chicken sausage smashed together.
I'll see what I can do.
A lot of chicken.
I'll see. That is a lot of chicken. That's like the KFC double down.
That's basically what it was.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Give us a like, give us a follow on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can find us. Thank you, folks.